Hi everyone, I wanted to quickly come by today and talk quickly about the Mars in Gemini retrograde energies that we are currently in. One of my subscribers requested that I do this video. This is not technically a video. It might be a little bit boring for you guys because you might have to look at this screen without me being on video. And the reason I chose to do that is because there are quite a few intuitive downloads that I've been getting, and I wanted this to be sort of like a friendly chat or like an informal chat, sort of a slash podcast, if you will, not like the typical videos that I do. There are quite a few downloads that I've got, and believe it or not, I received them when I was sleeping, and I woke up in the middle of the night and I decided to write these down because I've been noticing a lot of these patterns, not just within my own life, but even with people around me. So I wanted this to be a mix of me talking a little bit about the intuitive downloads that I've been getting. I've actually made some notes here on my phone, so I will be referencing those, and also I'm going to be doing a bit of a tarot spread towards the end of the video, just to pick up on the current energies and what are the main takeaways that we can draw from, and how we can best utilize this energy to our advantage. Okay, so when Mars is in Gemini, technically, uh, it is a bit of a chaotic energy because Gemini is a mutable sign and it's also an air sign. So, just like all mutable signs, there is this quality of duality with Gemini, and Gemini represents choices. Now, when Mars is in Gemini, it can be a whole lot of choices and being extremely overwhelmed and not knowing which choice to make. So, it can be like a very chaotic energy. It's also about communication. Gemini rules communication, it is about the third house, and it rules all kinds of communication, not just verbal. And so it's also the way we communicate with other people. How do we choose our words? Do we soften it with compassion, or do we just say things without a filter and then maybe regret it later on? So there's a lot going on when we have a Mars in Gemini. However, when we have Mars in Gemini as a retrograde, then it actually is good because it kind of slows things down. It provides like this tethering quality or this anchoring quality to what can otherwise be a pretty chaotic energy. So it gives you a lot of time to rework things, rethink scenarios, and I'm going to be getting into that as I go along with this video. But so like I said, Gemini is about choices, and we with the retrograde, this is not about being charging ahead and making the wrong choices. We can still make wrong choices, but although I feel like this energy is pretty forgiving. So far, whatever I've seen of it, I don't think it's this harsh, cruel energy. I think a lot of it is very forgiving. And we are, with the retrograde especially, we are being given a second chance at fine tuning some of our choices. So, one of the ways I can see this playing out hypothetically is maybe we are being presented with similar situations or choices from the past. So maybe we are being presented with similar situations from the past, but there is a difference that you may notice with these situations. So, for example, you may notice similar kind of people, but new people entering your life, but they may have a lot of the traits of people from your past, and you may tend to gravitate towards a pessimistic outlook, like, oh my god, not again. Is this like another lesson that I need to learn, or drudging up the past, and you may go into that default state where you're a bit apprehensive. But I think what the Mars and Gemini retrograde is asking us to do is really evaluate if this is the same thing happening again, or if it's just maybe similar patterns, but it's not quite the same thing. And I think it's up to us to notice the difference, see the difference, and then make our choices with discernment. Okay. And I'm going to talk about discernment in a bit because that's also coming up as quite an important keyword here. Now, the second thing that I wrote down is we may need to rework some things. So, one of the ways I'm seeing this play out is the momentum that we expected to take place may not happen at the speed that we want. So, for example, let's say we wanted something to happen by a specific deadline or a certain date. Like, for example, if you've been wanting to manifest something and it's not happened yet, and you're wondering, when's it going to happen? When's it going to be your time? That sort of thinking. It may not happen at the speed that we would want it to be. Um, at the same time, I'm also seeing certain situations where it can be a very uneven momentum, where suddenly things can fall into place with an easier resolution. And it may not require too much thinking as well on your part, which is kind of interesting. It's almost like the universe is supporting you not to overthink it too much and sort of go with the flow. Again, there's this very strong mutable energy here, which is all about going with the flow. And some signs may struggle with that, especially the fixed signs, the cardinal signs. They're used to initiating things and having things in their control. So those signs may struggle with this very mutable energy that we have right now, especially with the sun being in Sag as well. So there can be an uneven momentum. So some things may take longer than usual. They may not happen at the pace that we want. Like, there could be delays, there could be time lags, there could be temporary setbacks even. And you may get frustrated because of that. But then, on the other hand, you may find certain other areas of your life or certain other things that you planned, um, maybe you were overthinking about it. Like, just this Nine of Swords image comes into my mind, right, in tarot. Like, you've been anxious about it, restless, up all night, like wondering how to overcome a challenge or work through a particular situation that you're going through. Or maybe you're wanting something to happen, um, and maybe you've been overthinking about it, but then suddenly the next day something completely unexpected and unrelated to that particular situation comes in, and somehow it all connects together and everything seems to resolve itself seamlessly. So it's almost like you manage to accomplish two things at one go, if that makes sense. So that's one of the other things that I'm noticing, where you may notice lags and temporary setbacks or like this delay factor, but at the same time you may also find multitude of things coming your way which are working with you, actually helping you to resolve quite a few of the issues altogether at once, or any challenges altogether at once, right? So that can be something that may come up during this phase that we're in. Another thing that I got, like this intuitive download, is to keep your options open, because sometimes, like, especially if you have a lot of fixed energy in your chart, or like if you're the kind of person that needs to know everything beforehand, like where are we headed, where is this going, like if you're a planner, which is good. I mean, I love planning too, but this mutable energy is really asking us to let it all in from all different directions, and then you make sense of it. That's pretty much Gemini energy. Let's just collect the data or the data, and then we're going to make sense of it, because that's Mercurial energy. So you collect all the data and then you make sense of it. Then you figure out the patterns, then you figure out what you want to do with all these choices. But don't close all the doors. That's mutable energy. Like, it's asking you to be very adaptable, very flexible. And while the mutable signs, which are namely Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Gemini, they have, this energy comes to them easier because they're naturally mutable signs. So they are able to adapt to changes and new situations quite easily. Of course, I always say it depends on the whole chart. Like, you may be a mutable sun sign, but you may have a lot of other planets in cardinal or fixed signs, and so you may still struggle with adaptability or flexibility. So yeah, it depends on the whole chart, but mutable energy in general is pretty flexible and it's pretty adaptable. Now, so what we are being asked to do is to notice very carefully the choices that we want to make. However, in order to have those choices, we need to have options in the first place, right? So how do you even get to a place where you get to have choices? You get to have choices if you have options in the very first place. And to have options, you need to keep the doors open. You need to keep your options open and let things come to you from different angles, different situations, different areas of life. Like don't close any doors. Don't think, oh, this is not going to work out, or this doesn't seem feasible. Like, just keep it open, keep the options open, because you never know what's going to land from where and how all the pieces are going to come together and end up being perfectly fitting into your life. So just keep that option open. It may be a bit of a challenge for those of you who may find this energy a little bit chaotic. It is chaotic energy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, it is chaotic energy, but there is a method to the madness, is what I'm realizing. Like, it's not chaos for the sake of causing you discomfort. It's actually like opening up your mind, which is such a Sagittarian thing, right? It's very Jupiterian. It's like broadening your outlook. It's like stretching your mind and pushing your boundaries in a really good way, because you're getting to see what you can do with the energies around you. So just notice carefully the choices that you're making. And along with that, I wanted to talk about discernment a little bit, because while we may have, like, the thing with keeping all your options open is that you may also get a lot of fluff. Like, not all of the things that are going to come your way are going to be what you want, or they may not even remotely meet your standards. That can apply to anything. So take it how it resonates. It can be a relationship, it can be like your job or business, finance, whatever it is. But whatever your standards are, if you're going to keep your options open, it's not like everything's going to meet all your requirements. So there's going to be a lot of substandard stuff that comes your way as well. So that's where your discernment is going to really shine. And that's where being very clear in your mind as to what exactly you want is going to be very important, because having that focus is going to help you retain your discernment. So while you're keeping your options open, you still want to stick to that standard or that template that you have in your mind of what it is that you want. Like, you would have an image in your mind, right? Like, this is what I want this to look like. Whether that's the life you want, whether that's the career you want, whether that's the relationship you want, there's a certain template that you have in your mind, right? So you need to keep that in mind and then keep your options open. Let it all come in. And once you have all the data, once you have all the options within your inbox or within your life, then you start sorting it out and measuring it against your template and seeing, okay, does this measure up? If not, no, it has to go. So then there is this element of being very clinical as well. That's again very Mercurial, Gemini, fact-based, logic-based energy. This is not emotional, like feeling based energy. It's very practical, it's very logical. It's just about keeping your options open so that you have a lot of things to work with, and then you decide what needs to go and what needs to stay. This may also be a great time to take action, but also rest. So, like, you see the duality that's happening here. Like, that's very immutable energy. You are being asked to keep your options open, but at the same time you need to have a strict code, or like a template or a set of standards that you are adhering to, and you still stick by your standards. You're not being asked to fall below your standards or accept less than what you deserve. Absolutely not. Actually, the universe wants you to be true to yourself, be true to your standards, because that's what you've been trying to manifest. So you don't want to compromise on that. But at the same time, you're also being asked to be flexible, adaptable, because you don't know what opportunity is going to come out of where. And that's the thing with this Gemini energy. It's very quick, it's very fast paced. And so if you're not quick as well, and if you're not as adaptable as it's asking you to be, you might lose out on opportunities. Now, I'm not saying this to give you like this FOMO, like this fear of missing out vibe. I'm saying this so that you're more on your toes, because that's what the energy is asking us to do. Like, really be on our toes. And yes, it can be exhausting for a lot of signs out there. Like, signs that are used to being more laid back and letting things come to them and letting things flow organically, they may struggle with this, because if you have that many options out there coming, all of it coming your way, all these opportunities headed your way, How do you know which one do you want to pick and which one do you want to leave out, right? So that's where the discernment comes in. That's where your intuition is going to be so crucial. Oh my God, I can't even stress this enough. Your intuition is going to be like your compass in this whole playing field. So even though there's this whole chaotic energy around us and there's just a lot going on right now, a lot of us may be struggling to like get sleep, especially with Gemini. um, it rules the mind, Mercury, so there is a lot of restless energy also. Your nervous system may be impacted as well. Gemini also rules the nervous system, so you may feel a lot of anxiety, restlessness, all those things. You may feel overwhelmed. There's just a lot happening. But if you can stay true to your intuition and really ask yourself, does this feel true to what I want in my life? And if it feels centered, if it feels clear, and if it doesn't feel like a negative chaotic energy, like chaos can be positive and negative, like the vibe can be positive and negative. So if it's not feeling negative, then maybe that's an opportunity you want to take. But again, that will require you to be quick footed, quick thinking, and nimble and agile, and really take that opportunity, because a lot of these opportunities may not come around again, or even if it comes around again, it may not be as good as the opportunity that came up to you the very first time that it did. So it's kind of like a deal. You may not get that good of a deal the second time around, if that makes sense. So, yeah, just practice a lot of discernment. Be very cognizant of the opportunities that are coming your way. I'm not saying take all of these opportunities. By no stretch of the imagination am I suggesting that, because not everything, like I said, not everything is going to meet your standards. But some of these, they may not be completely up to the mark of what you're expecting, but they may open the door to a lot of other great opportunities out there. So let me give an example. For example, let's say you're looking for a job, right? And you expect a certain pay scale, XYZ. Let's think of it that way. You expect a certain pay scale, and something comes your way, like you get a message, you get an email saying that, hey, we have an opening at XYZ company and they are paying you a certain amount of money. And maybe that's not what you're expecting, but rather than dismissing it outright, right? That's what I said earlier, like don't close all the doors. Give that a try. That's that flexibility, adaptability. Give that a try. And through that, you may actually be training the universe that, okay, you're open to receiving, you're open to getting other opportunities coming your way. So you're not shutting the door, you're keeping your options open. Because what may happen is maybe the first thing that came around, it doesn't offer you that much of a pay scale, but then through that you may discover that the bonus is great, the incentives are great, and it all adds up, and finally what you receive in hand is way more than what you expected. So this was just a hypothetical example, but it's kind of, I'm trying to help you see how you may not have all the answers right at the beginning when a new opportunity comes your way. Like you're not going to see how it's all going to pan out. That's again that mutable energy. But it's kind of like you make up the bridge as you go along. That's again very Sag, very Gemini, mutable energy. We'll not really winging it, but we're going to see how it goes. We're going to go with the flow and just see how this thing works out. So it's very flowy energy, and you got to be little bit open to taking risks. Now, this is not chaotic risks like that are going to harm you, but this is just pushing you out of your comfort zone a little bit. So if you're the kind of person who's absolutely averse to taking risks, this may be a bit of a challenging time, because you're pretty much being asked to take risks pretty much on a daily basis from whatever I've seen till now. Like there's that saying, right? Like the hits just keep on coming. Like that's what I'm observing. Like a lot of new things coming our way, and it's up to us to figure out what's really like fulfilling the standards, and what, even if it isn't, what can really get us there. I think that's the key point. Like again, look at the long-term vision. That's again very Sagittarius energy. It's kind of the opposite of Gemini, which is about the details. So Sag asks us to look at the big picture. Okay, maybe in the short term this job may not get you what you want, but in the long term, is it giving you like the kind of payout that you want? Is it giving you flexible hours? So again, like look at the long term picture and then make your decision. right? Now, again, that duality that I mentioned, this is a time for action because there's going to be a lot that's being sent your way. The universe is sending you opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, but those opportunities are going to come to you once you start taking the action. So it all depends on what your goals are or what you're trying to manifest. And based on that, like, it's one thing to have a vision board, it's one thing to write down your plans and have that law of assumption or whatever you want to call it. But if you don't take action, it's kind of like trying to drive in a parked car in your garage. Like, you won't even know what it's like to drive unless you actually get out there and take your car out onto the road in the middle of traffic and really learning on the job, so to speak. That's very mutable energy. Like, you learn as you go. So yeah, you're going to trip sometimes, it's not going to be perfect. There is a major, major, major learning curve, especially in the month of December. That's another thing that I'm seeing, and I'm going to be putting up the December tarot readings very soon. But yeah, this is a time for action. This is, but listen to your body again. Like I said, listen to your intuition. If you're feeling stressed out, tired, overwhelmed, definitely take those breaks. Don't be like the Duracell bunny or whatever. Like, don't just keep checking off your to-do list because you just have to. Like, don't be in that compulsive state. Take your rest, take your break, but also switch back into gear and remind yourself, okay, I need to get these things done as well. So pay attention to your body, spirit, and whatever it's telling you. So your intuition is really going to be the grounding force throughout this retrograde season, and it's going to be your compass, it's going to be your guiding force, just like always. um, I'm also, even though I haven't drawn up the tarot yet, just visually, I'm getting this image of gossip, like very Five of Wands, Five of Swords energy, which is very possible at this time, especially because Mars is in Gemini. Gemini rules communication, and it's in retrograde. So there are chances of a lot of misunderstandings happening with people around you. Like, you may say something, people may take it in a totally different way, or it may just not land the way you wanted to. So just a lot of cross communication, if I may say so. Like, so even if that's happening, don't engage, like, don't get involved in clarifying stuff, and don't get involved in the nitty gritty. Like, just continue to keep your focus and know what's important for you, especially with the bigger picture. Like, don't get involved in the small stuff, don't sweat the small stuff, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, that's what I had in terms of the intuitive downloads. Now I want to do a tarot, just draw some tarot cards and see what the overall energies. Okay, this card just decided to jump out. King of Cups. Right, now let's look at what other energies are coming through. The Empress. Yeah, that's you. That's your overarching energy generally. Your intuition, your compass, that's just the grounding force underneath all of this chaotic energy. But this chaotic energy is really good because it's pushing you to such levels. Queen of Wands in reverse. Then let's look at the next energy for Mars in Gemini retrograde. It's the overarching energy. Okay. Wow, we have the Seven of Swords in reverse. And we have the High Priestess. Pretty much in line with what I was saying. So, King of Cups is this energy of being compassionate, being emotional, but also being very self-assured. Empress is again this energy of very, knowing what's coming to you and just trusting your intuition, trusting your vibe, letting it come to you. The High Priestess is again following your intuition, observing things. I think that's again another thing that I was mentioning, right? Like, about the discernment. There's going to be a lot of things that are being sent your way, but it is about discernment. Now, it is easy to second guess yourself at this time, especially because I'm seeing the Queen of Wands coming up, as a reversal. And Queen of Wands is this very, generally in the upright position, represents a very confident, self-assured individual. Like, they know what they want. They're extremely confident, and they just go after what they want. They don't like sit around waiting for anything. It's fire energy, it's wants, so it's going to go after what it wants. But because this is coming up as a reversal, something tells me that during this time it may be very possible to fall into this loop of insecurities. um, Especially those of you who have Cancer rising. This Mars in Gemini retrograde is happening in your 12th house, which can be a little bit chaotic because it's happening in the realm of your subconscious mind. So there can be phases that you go through where you feel like a little bit insecure, or you start second guessing yourself, or you wonder, whatever you set out to do, whatever you're trying to manifest, um, are you really going to get it? All that's negative self-talk, right? Like the the questions that we have, the doubts that we have, self-doubt, that may come up quite a bit during this time. But again, it's about remaining in this Empress High Priestess energy, which is like you've already done the ritual that you needed to do for manifestation. So you're already on this journey. You don't have to do anything extra. Now the universe is sending you all these opportunities to make those manifestations a reality. It's just about uh, like I said before, like discerning, the high priestess, like being very discerning. Does this really measure up to your ideal? Does it measure up to your standards? Is it worth it? Like, is it something where you're going to have to expend a lot of energy just to keep things running? I think those things are going to go out of focus very soon. If you have things in your life, like it can be anything, it can be people, situations, even objects in your life, like machinery or whatever, things that are taking up too much of your time, aka maintenance, without giving you like productivity or like actual results, where you feel like you're spending way more energy just trying to keep the peace or just maintaining things, you're going to want to let them go. And that's going to happen organically as well. I think it's like a phase of decluttering is also something I'm picking up on. Now, Seven of Swords in reverse, in the upright position, this is the energy of deception. This is also looking over your shoulder, wondering if people are talking something bad about you. Very like almost shady energy, you don't want to be around this energy. It's just very gossipy, shady, deceptive energy, and that is like the shadow side of Gemini. Sometimes it can manifest itself in these ways. But because it's coming up as a reversal, this is asking you not to get engaged in that kind of behavior, like not engaging in that kind of behavior. If you find yourself being surrounded by people who are in a tendency to do that right now, I would distance, I would suggest that distancing yourself from them may be the best option. um, you don't need to cut them off, like you don't have to be drastic about it, but you can still be compassionate about it. Like high priestess is extremely compassionate, king of cups is also very compassionate energy. You can still talk to them with love and compassion, but you don't have to engage and like get sucked into that vortex of whatever, that gossip or that energy that I'm talking about. You don't have to engage with that energy. What else for the Mars and Gemini retrograde energy? What else do people need to know about this energy? Wow, the tower came up. Okay, why did I not see this before? It's so typical. Like I said, there are going to be things that you are decluttering. So I feel like this tower is not like something crumbling down, really. I feel like this is you taking matters into your own hands and deciding what stays in your tower and what actually goes. I don't think it's the tower actually crumbling. I think it's you just deciding what stays in your life and what goes. It's very decluttering energy. And it can apply to anything basically. I think a lot of people right now are going to be in this phase where they just want things to simplify. They want their life to be easy, simple, less complicated, like not too much effort where you're doing repetitive stuff just to keep things going, which is very exhausting. I think a lot of people are moving away from that energy, and I think the tower really represents that, where you're just doing away with all of that energy that just takes up so much of your time, effort, and energy, and it just doesn't give back. I think that's what I'm getting at. Like if it's people, situations, things in your life that just aren't giving you back whatever the effort that you're putting into them, I think you're going to start letting them go, or at least distancing yourself from them. I'm also seeing the Queen of Pentacles. This is actually a great time to be resourceful. Queen of Pentacles. Okay, I'm also seeing the Temperance card. So Queen of Pentacles is highly resourceful card. It is the energy of Capricorn, and it is about taking stock of your money, your resources, seeing what stays, what goes, just inventory checks basically. And as a side result of that, you may also be budgeting, like you may be discovering ways to like cut costs, or maybe you spend the money in a more fruitful way. That's again very resourceful Capricorn energy. So it's very much about like being very mature about your finances and your resources, and making the best of what you have essentially. Also, minimizing wastage is something that I'm picking up with this card as well, where you may find yourself like again very decluttering energy. You may find yourself doing away with things, people, energies that just like take up a lot of your energy, time, like a lot of maintenance work. It's not really giving you back anything, and you may find substitutes. So this is not the energy of just like austerity and completely like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's not that energy, but it's more being very smart about your resources. Like what is really giving back to you, what is really adding value, and what's pretty much dead weight, if you know what I mean. And you may actually find yourself replacing these resources with other resources that may be requiring less investment, but they may give you more value. So that may be something that's coming up. Temperance, again, like I said, um, with all this chaotic energy happening around us, and with Mars being in Gemini, being in retrograde, like tempers can fly, people can say a lot of caustic things, a lot of hurtful things that they don't really mean, and then they may regret it later on. But you can't really take back words. Once you've said it, it's all out the door. You can't really take that back. So temperance is asking you to really think about it before you say something, before you send that text, before you send that email, before you communicate in any way. Maybe tone it down a bit, or like don't say it. Like even if, let's for example, if you're really angry or upset about something and you just want to blurt out and like say your truth and let them know exactly what's on your mind, it's not really necessary during this time. Like honestly, there is a level of holding back that's required, that's being asked of us. Again, that's the temperance energy, where you are being asked to sort of hold back. Don't say it. Like, is it really necessary? Sometimes not saying it is a much more powerful statement than actually saying it. You don't always need to say your truth. Like, your truth, but you don't always need to tell it to the other person, because A, they may not be in the mind space to accept it. B, they may not be interested. C, if they're not really ready to change, it doesn't make any difference whether you tell them or not. So sometimes you don't need to say it. Sometimes you just need to be very discerning, like especially with the high priestess. Be very discerning. Just observe people's actions and behavior. That tells you way more than any words can. And then make your decisions accordingly, like what needs to go, what needs to stay. By all means, you don't have to cut people off. You don't have to be like that drastic about it, but you can distance yourself from that and wish people well, or mentally you can just have that distance from people or things or situations. So yeah, that's what's coming up for the overall energies for the Mars Gemini retrograde. Let me know if it resonated, and if these are similar themes that you've been facing so far, because I love to see synchronicities, and you know I love to see if other people are also experiencing the energies in the same way that I am, because the what I described is what I've been experiencing so far. And so I hope it helped some of you. If you're finding this energy pretty challenging and difficult to navigate, I hope this helped in some way to maybe give some answers or provide some answers as to how to navigate this energy. So yeah, definitely let me know in the comments I love reading your comments and interacting with you. And if you like this video, if it resonated, do give it a thumbs up, because your likes and thumbs up helps my video stay relevant in the YouTube algorithm and helps other people find similar content. And if you'd like to book a personal reading with me, whether that's a natal chart reading, a synastry chart reading, or tarot, or even like a personalized one-on-one counseling session, definitely drop me a message on Facebook or email, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. The links are in the description box, so I'll get back to you soon. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys, and thank you once again. I'll definitely get back to you soon. December readings are coming up pretty soon. Bye bye.